Hello there. This is Lynn Reilly, author, licensed professional counselor, master energy therapist, and your host of Living Serendipitously. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about what it means to live serendipitously, how to live in the flow of life, and recognize the beautiful and timely gifts that we receive on a daily basis, as well as how to find meaning in our experiences and recognize that they're all meant to be. Many of us are looking for proof that we are supported in this life of ours and that there's an actual purpose to our experiences, especially the ones that throw us into a funk and question what on earth is going on, especially those times. So I'm going to teach you a really great practice to start seeing it for yourself. And it's a very simple practice. It has to be simple. Honestly, for me to commit to it, it's got to be simple. So I keep it simple for both of us. And once you start to see this truth that all of our experiences have meaning to them and that they're designed for us, life begins to feel that much more interesting and fun to be a part of. You start to live with curiosity and less expectation. So it's much more interesting and opening and freeing to live. You can learn more of these simple life-enhancing practices in my working book, 30 Days to Me, which can be found on my website, livingwithserendipity.com, along with my children's book, The Secret to Beating the Dragon, as well as through sacredstoriesmedia.com, the amazing company working with me to support you. I know that many of you who are listening right now are saying, man, life is hard. I just need a break from this job, from this relationship, from these responsibilities, from this fear and worry, from not feeling good. Where is the reprieve? I think it's safe to say that we all get stuck in these moments of heartache and frustration and question why we have to go through what we are experiencing and what is the meaning of it. It can be so disheartening to feel like our challenges serve no use and question why we have to wait for what we want, even if there's an advantage to that. We swim in the depths of confusion, asking the age-old question, why? Why? Why do I have to feel this way? Why do I have to wait? Why am I not being heard? Why am I misunderstood or neglected? Why is this all so confusing? Why does it have to hurt like this? Why? We get stuck trying to find value in the frustration, or just get mad in general and sit there. Or we just get stuck when we're waiting and with the sadness and anger, and then we start to whine our way through it. But the truth is, it's all valuable. And the more that we practice seeing this truth, that every experiences that we have teaches us something we may not have seen before, or creates an opening for something that would have been closed without it, or shakes up our comfort zones to transport us to much cooler experiences, the easier it becomes to embrace the challenges as they come along. So I have this really cool job as a professional counselor in private practice, and I get to listen to people's stories and challenges with this ringside seat to see how the chaos they are experiencing is meant to help shake out what needs to go and make space for what is going to enhance their lives. I see how we all get stuck in our patterns and our responses and how it just gives us more of the same. But when we decide it's time to stop what we are doing, everything changes. So I have this cool position where I feel like I'm watching a movie a lot of the time, and I'm listening to these stories and I'm riding these emotional roller coasters. But I know that it's always going to have an ending that benefits this person, that benefits their life. So as these challenges arise, they become these opportunities for growth and to learn better and greater and more amazing things than they would not have learned otherwise. For example, I recently had a client who was really unhappy in their marriage, and they didn't know what to do about it. So we started talking about, okay, well, you got to communicate with your spouse. Talk to them. Tell them how you feel. If you're unhappy, share with them why you're unhappy. What are steps that you can take? All of that. And although they wanted to communicate with them, their spouse, they didn't want to communicate with them because they were angry and they were frustrated and they're wondering, why do I always have to be the one to communicate, and why can't they step up to me? But at the same time, I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know how they're going to respond. all of these unknowns. And so those unknowns stopped them in their tracks from moving forward in a direction that they felt that they should go, but they chose not to because they got scared. So they kept stalling and finding reasons not to talk to them. They wanted to deal with it, but again, they were afraid of what was going to happen next. And the thing is, they were comfortable living in their discomfort. And most of us have found ourselves there where we'll sort of complain about a situation. It's like, oh my gosh, and we put the blame on someone else for making it happen, and we get comfortable being uncomfortable. So when someone says, well, why don't you just do this to change it up? There's an excuse, there's a reason, well, I know how to be uncomfortable. I know how to not talk or to not feel supported, and I know how to make it numb and go away, and it'll be fine tomorrow, and we get stuck there. And so because of that, it's not very motivating for us to move. So this client is feeling really this ongoing frustration and wants to change things and wants to start communicating, but just as I said, making reasons not to. A few weeks later, the same client comes in with this giddy confession of having received some unsolicited attention from the opposite sex that was exhilarating for them. All of a sudden, they felt like they were feeling again. They were feeling alive. They were feeling confident. They were feeling excited about life. Life has started to look a little bit brighter because someone was giving them the attention that they were craving. They were telling them that they were a good-looking person and that they were attractive and that they had a lot to bring to the table, and this person wasn't feeling that way. So they knew that it wasn't a good idea to keep the secret flirty relationship going, but it felt so good that it somehow seemed to make the behavior okay. So for me, the outside looking in, it's really clear why this relationship has popped into their life. It is the opportunity to experience something significantly different, to wake them up to possibility and feel what they're missing. It's to show them that there actually are options for a different life and what that might look like. So my client starts coming in each week from then, aware of why this opportunity is in their life and seeing what it's doing for them and sort of the advantage that it's giving them to start building that esteem that had felt lost for a while. But they're still scared to do anything different. However, they were becoming more confident in their feelings of what they didn't want as they felt more joy in a direction that they did. But still no communication with their spouse about the discontent in the marriage. So this is the part where most people judge others very harshly and say, well, they're choosing to ruin the marriage. But that's in fact not true. The behavior is actually just a symptom of the disconnect in the marriage, and the person making the decision to stray, so to speak, is actually following their inner voice to engage in something to let them feel again because they had stopped letting themselves feel joy and confidence and feeling alive for a while. So now they start to feel, again, the relationship is just an opportunity, and their intention is not actually to ruin the marriage, but to save themselves because they felt so lost. This is the part where we have this opportunity and then we decide, okay, well, now I know how it makes me feel. What do I want to do differently? So the client is saying, okay, well, I really know that I need to speak to my spouse, but I'm still nervous, but I'm getting closer and I think I'm going to do it soon and all of this. But because they don't feel confident in their ability to communicate with their spouse, they're still fearful of the outcome of expressing their feelings. They keep quiet. Several weeks later into this flirty relationship, my client sees the need to talk to their spouse and says, okay, I'm just that much closer. I know this is going to happen. And then, before that could happen, their spouse finds evidence of the flirty relationship and is devastated. Now we've got this critical point of chaos that's bringing us to change. And so, what will they choose to do? So what ends up happening is they begin this back and forth communication of hurt feelings and digging into years of not feeling good enough in the relationship and going back to even further from early childhood. They start telling each other all of these things they had been feeling for such a long time but had been holding back. And this event forces it, almost in a way, to occur. So they start actually communicating the thing that they wanted to do, which was to share these feelings with each other, starts to happen. It all starts to come to be. More importantly, they start talking about the things that have been holding them back for so long and the things that they had been avoiding. Now, this created a minor meltdown for both the spouses, but it also becomes an incredible opportunity to communicate their true feelings in the open and be heard. The seemingly negative event allowed both of them to feel what they had shoved down and neglected in themselves and express all the pent-up thoughts and fears and feelings that they had been harboring. It became an excellent catalyst to shake things up and do something different, which is exactly what they both wanted, to do something different. So the gift in the chaos, obviously, doesn't always present itself so easily, especially when they're in the middle of it. Yet the more you practice seeing them, the easier they become to identify. And wouldn't it be great to see them while they're happening so these uneasy moments felt are actually a little less uncomfortable? When I personally first started the practice of intentionally noticing the good things that happened each day, no matter what was happening around me, it was during a time I felt particularly off. My aunt was dying from cancer very quickly, and I was constantly feeling the sadness around it. I cried nearly every day thinking about my family and the loss that surrounded us. I just felt awful. I felt really disconnected from myself in so many ways, just sort of going through the motions each day. I felt like I was in a funk and I was struggling to get out of it. And I've got all these practices that I know, and yet there's just this one part of me that just couldn't seem to shake up myself enough. I knew I needed to shift my focus on what I felt, or like nonstop painful moments, to see where the good was around me, but I knew it was there. I just couldn't get myself to focus on it. So what I did was I began to write down good things that happened each day, despite how I was feeling. Sometimes it was a compliment from a stranger, or just a good meal, or an unexpected cancellation that gave me a few more moments to breathe in a busy day. Sometimes it was an extra beautiful sunrise that kind of just had me stop and be in the moment and see the beauty of my life. Ones that spoke to my heart, or when my kids were helping me out more around the house because they knew I was dragging. That always feels really good. There were these unexpected moments of bliss that creeped in and added up and balanced out the moments that felt sucky. The more that I began to write them down, the more they seemed to multiply. But I knew that wasn't actually the case. They were always there. I was just beginning to tune into them more often. After my aunt died, I was deeply sad and heartbroken. The pain felt particularly strong and brought up all the other losses in my life, as grief does. When I felt like I was crumbling, my ex-husband stepped up and took over. Now, the big deal with this is we had not been on great terms for a couple of months due to a disagreement around our kids, and I didn't like the feel of that either. But when I needed him, he was there. So once the loss happened, he stepped up and said, "We've got this." It gave us the opportunity to talk about our disagreement, and it actually helped us to discuss ways to handle it better moving forward. We communicated differently than we had in the past, and he didn't hesitate to take over and take care of our grieving family in the way that we needed. It was absolutely the gift I needed at that time. At the same time, one of my cousins had moved back to New England with his family to be closer to his parents while my aunt was dying. So now we got to see them more, and we were so happy to be around them and have them be home and feel even closer to them. Another of my cousins left her dream job in Peru to move back to be with her family. And during this incredibly difficult time, she reconnected with a man she once dated, and he became the serendipitous gift that she needed to give her light and the support that she needed during that time. They stayed connected, and this man ended up going back to Peru with her to go help her explore the world and live out her dreams. Absolutely beautiful. My other cousin and his wife gave the family the ultimate gift of a beautiful baby to dote on and fall in love with shortly after my aunt's passing. So with this terrible experience, so many amazing moments came from it. I watched it happen while it was happening, and I knew how powerful it was, but really the practice of seeing it on a day-to-day basis made it that much more meaningful and just truly filled with hope. These are the types of well-designed gifts that line up for us when we least expect it. They're always in the works, and they reveal themselves when we need them. We just have to notice they exist. That's it. This is how we live a serendipitous life. We embrace life as it comes. We practice getting out of our own way by working with ourselves to keep living. We practice seeing the good in the moments and trusting that we are destined to live lives we want to. So here's a good practice to get you started in living serendipitously. We all want to know that good things are happening to us and the proof that we're supported. So we're going to start creating that today. At the end of today, I want you to write down something good that happened to you. I want you to review your day and think of all the things that occurred and one thing that made you smile or felt good or was easy. I'd like you to write down more than one, but we can start with one. That's fine. And tomorrow, I want you to do the same. I want this to be a practice. I don't care if you write it in your phone, on a napkin, in a journal, on your mirror with lipstick. Write it down. You are simply training your mind and your awareness to see what is already there. This is how you're going to practice noticing all the good things that happen, because they are. The more you notice, the more you're going to think that they're happening, and your awareness is going to multiply. So you'll have this in your excitement, right? The truth is, it's already there, but it's going to seem like it. There's so many more. And the more proof that you have, the more that you can actually trust this. So you can start seeing the good and what feels like the negative. And the more you keep track of seeing the good, it will become even easier. So what happens as you keep track is that you will naturally start to see the balance of the good coming into your life, as well as the meaning of what is happening around you. You'll begin to see the opportunities that open up for you when you least expect it, to feel more peace and balance and get your clarity and have your questions answered that you keep asking, and just living pure joy in your everyday life. This is a really cool part, because you'll begin to actually have the proof you want that everything is always going to be okay, because life, the universe, whatever you're calling it, really does have your back. And you can trust that no matter what comes next is going to be in your best interest in some way. Not only is this all fascinating, it just feels better. Trusting the process of life just feels good. So let's get you started on feeling that trust and optimism even more. Wouldn't it be awesome to start seeing your life as a masterpiece fully designed in your favor? It's such an exciting way to live. Open with possibility and welcoming what's in front of you instead of always being nervous about what's next. We're going to let your gratitude grow with what that is right in your face. That's beautiful and amazing, and that you can trust the purpose of your past as well as your future. All you have to do is write it down each day and keep adding and start and keep going. I'm so excited for you to do this because I know how much it helps, and it's minimal effort. Notice and write it down. That's all you need to do to get started living serendipitously. Are you ready? I know you are. Of course you are. For more techniques on living serendipitously and with joy, as well as great self-awareness activities, check out 30 Days to Me on livingwithserendipity.com and sacredstoriesmedia.com. Thank you so much for listening in, and I will catch you next time on Living Serendipitously with Lynn Reilly.